Baldur's Gate 3 is the ultimate role-playing experience. In the game, you can be whatever you want. Want to be a barbarian gnome? You can. Want to be a lizard man who plays the lute? You can do that too. You want to be a psycho who feeds off the suffering of others? Well, I guess you could. But what if you wanted to be, say, a Pokemon trainer? Well, anything's possible with enough imagination and will. So today, I'll be attempting to beat Baldur's Gate 3 using only Pokemon. No, I won't be modding, because there already are Pokemon in the game. The rules are, I can only deal damage using summons, and the only actions my characters can take are casting buffs, healing, and using potions. Another caveat is, I won't be fully committing to the rules of the challenge until I hit level 3, since that's when I'll get some decent summons. I do have Find Familiar at level 1, but frankly, those summons suck. So, with that out of the way, let's get to it. I set off into the world with my new character, Ash Ketchum. I awake from a pod and realize I'm not in Pallet Town anymore. The last thing I remember, I was kidnapped, and this woodman put a wormhole in my eye. But I'm not too mad, because immediately I find my first Pokemon. A Brainiac called Us joins me. Using Us, we defeat some Implets. Then, I get my second Pokemon, a Spideroo, and I free Shadowheart from her pod. With two Pokemon already, I'm feeling confident. We head to the helm. There, we face Commander Zalek. While he fights this Woodman, he sends his team of 6 Pokemon to fight us. Fortunately, Us is a beast and wipes the floor with them. And I guess the Spideroo helps a little bit too. From there, I take control of the ship, and immediately, I crash it. Somehow, I survive, but Us is nowhere to be found, and all I'm left with is the Spideroo. A little further up, I find Shadowheart. I would have rather found Us, but what can you do? I get into combat with some Brainiacs, and my Spideroo dies instantly. This is why I'm waiting to level 3 to really start the challenge. Anyways, we beat up the Brainiacs until they faint. Up the hill, we get mugged by a vampire. We also find a wizard hiding in a rock. I'm delighted to learn that Gale is also a Pokemon trainer. We join a battle to defend the gate from goblins. There we meet the Blade of Frontiers. He seems like a cool dude. He'd probably make a great trainer. Look how good he is with children.
My friends call me Will.
We recruit Will, then we meet Kaga, and we save a girl from being bitten by a survivor.
Out, thief!
Next, we speak to a healer named Nettie, hoping that she could cure the wormholes in our heads. But I don't think she's a very good doctor.
This is a vial of wyvern poison.
That conversation finally gets us to level 3, and at last, we can finally assemble a real Pokemon team. Ash finds a Boreon. Shadowheart gets a Honedge. And Will catches an Implet. This is on top of the Crowley and Crablu we already have, which makes for 5 Pokemon overall. Now, with a decently sized team, I head to the beach, where I find a child being lured in by harpies. Now, the challenge really begins. I send my Pokemon forward. They will do all the fighting now. I remember to turn off opportunity attacks so my characters don't accidentally do damage. The kid takes a harpy claw to the back and dies. Sorry kid, that's what happens when you venture out of town without a Pokemon. The battle is by no means easy. There are a lot of misses, and the damage is nothing impressive. But through the power of friendship and persistence, we prevail. In the forest, we find a Pokemon named Scratch, guarding his sleeping master. We give him a scent to follow, in case he wants to join us later. After a little bit of exploring, we encounter Nose, and boy, did this fight go badly. My Crowley and Crablu faint early on, and I miss most of my attacks. To make things worse, my Boreon accidentally aggroes more Nose. It is clear my team needs work. Honedge does decent damage, but his movement is limited, and no archer easily outmaneuvers it. With one Pokemon left, I white out. I intended for Gale to be a Necromancer, but it'll be a while until he gets any useful summons, and right now all he's providing for the team is a crab. So I respect Gale into Warlock, and trade his Crablu for a Quasitaur. He also gets a spell Fairy Fire, which will give the team an advantage on attacks. With a new team member in tow, we face the Gnolls again. This time, we target the ones at the bottom of the hill first. One of the hyenas runs to call for backup. But since Quasitaur and Implet have invisibility, they swoop in and assassinate it. We give them an absolute walloping. We finish up the battle, then we go for the nose at the top of the hill. And we lose again. Third time's the charm, I guess. We lose our Quasitaur pretty early on. But this time, we succeed. Back at camp, we get a visit from a devil named Mazora. Will gets a makeover, and we learn that he's in a pact with Mazora, where he has to do her bidding. So, in a way, Will is Mazora's Pokemon. In the morning, I find Scratch in the camp, but he doesn't quite join the team just yet. We drop down a well, and there we find our next fight. The Ether Caps are simple enough. We surround them and take them out. The spiders, on the other hand, prove to be extremely annoying. They teleport around, spitting poison in our faces. And if that wasn't bad enough, there are webs everywhere, hindering our movement. My Boreon dies, and I bring out Mighty Yenna to pick up the slack. Meanwhile, I send Gale out of combat so he can resummon Quasitaur. What we lack in mobility, we make up for in numbers. We overwhelm the spiders, and take to victory. Through that battle, I've had enough with spiders. I sneak past the rest of them, and I grab what I came here for, the Dark Amethyst. In a cellar, I pick up the Necromancy of Day, a creepy book that might just be useful later on. Next, I go into the swamp. There, I get into a fight with some sheep. And my team gets absolutely decimated. Maybe I have better luck against goblins.
That was worth it, Daddy.
The battle starts off well enough. Shadowheart sends in her own edge. Gale casts Fairy Fire on the goblins. Then this happens. Whoa! This makes absolutely no sense. It had wings. Why is it falling to death? Whatever. One Pokemon down, the fight continues. One of the goblins goes to call for reinforcements, and I don't really have any Pokemon nearby that can stop it, but luckily, I have a plan. I send Will out of combat, and he resummons Implet. Utilizing its invisibility, I destroy the drum before it could be used to alert more goblins. Ha! No backup for you. From there, the fight is simple. One by one, the goblins faint. We win the battle, and now we can continue on our quest. Right now, we're trying to infiltrate the evil organization known as Team Absolute. Their evil plan is to dominate the world through the power of warbows. Or some other stupid ass shit. Anyways, we find the goblin camp. There, we make all sorts of friends.
Kiss my foot.
You could curdle warg milk with that ugly mug.
Back at our own camp, I rest for the night. Then, I have the strangest dream. Professor Oak comes to me, and he tells me he's been watching over me and protecting me this entire time. He also says that I should embrace the wormhole in my head, that it could help me become the greatest trainer in all of Faerun. I trust this man completely. In the morning, we head into the temple. Inside are 3 team absolute leaders we must defeat. Our first target is Priestess Gut. We managed to isolate her, but the problem is, she's quite a loudmouth. If we don't want her alerting the entire temple, we're gonna have to defeat her in a single turn. On my first attempt, I actually get pretty close. I get her down to 4, but she manages to call for help. This won't do. I try again, and again, but none of my attempts are enough. I just don't deal enough damage. I will either need a new strategy, or a stronger team, or maybe both. We explore the temple a little bit more, and in a cell, we find a Pokemon being harassed by goblins.
Time for blood.
This is it, the perfect ally. We help free her, and take care of the goblins nearby. Grateful for our help, the bear, named Halcyon, agrees to help us fight the goblin leaders. Powerful new Pokemon on the team. I'm feeling confident. But as we enter the heart of the temple, we aggro quite a few enemies. Nothing too bad. But I make the mistake of setting my Quasitor too far forward, and I end up aggroing even more enemies. About a gagillion goblins storm onto the scene, including Priestess Gut. At this point, I'm thinking I've lost. I should just reload and save myself some time. Just look at the top of the screen. But I'm curious how far my team can get, so I stick to it. Quasitor immediately gets blasted to the Shadow Realm. We quickly get surrounded. The one advantage we've always had, numbers, is not here for this fight. I send Gale out of combat to resummon Quasitor, but I realize I need to rest to refresh the spell, and I can't while my party members are in combat. So Gale is out of this fight. The battle is scrappy. I have no strategy. Everyone is just swinging at the closest enemy to them. But we get some good opportunity attacks onto Priestess Gut. For some reason, I lose control of Halcyon in the middle of battle. I guess I don't have enough gym badges or something. Mariana finishes off Gut. Shadowheart is out of spell slots, so I put her on the bench. Mariana faints, and I send in Boreon. Oh, are you serious? Implet is the next to fall, and Boreon's run is short-lived. Now, all my Pokemon have fainted, and all I'm left with is a wild, rampaging bear that I can't control. I put all my hopes and dreams on Halcyon's back. Can he carry this for us? I have Shadowheart throw him a potion of speed. This is her last gift, the last thing she has to offer. Whoa, what was that? It kind of looks like Halcyon turned into a person right there. Whatever, moving on. Ash and Shadowheart go into hiding. It's up to Halcyon, the bear Pokemon, to finish up the battle. He takes a heavy beating, but he beats back. And in the end, we are victorious. Wow, wow, wow. This is honestly one of the more memorable battles I've had in Baldur's Gate 3. Despite the weird bugs. I've never had an NPC carry me this hard. I rest for the night, and now I'm ready to face Minthara, the Drow. This fight proves to be far simpler than the last. We take out the few surrounding goblins. Then, we surround her. Swarmed by Pokemon, she is helpless. And we take her out easily. Finally, you decide to take Professor Oak's advice and get psionic powers. I get Transfuse Health, a healing ability, and Shield of Draws, an ability that gives an ally temporary health. Now, we go to the final Goblin Leader, Roar Ragzlin. Somehow, we aggro him from all the way over here. We fight him on the bridge, but that turns out to be a big mistake. On our second attempt, the battle starts out poorly. Most of the team gets covered in grease, then exploded. Then I realize that Houston is missing, and I find him on a ledge way back. Already, things are looking dire. Just look at our health bars. It is only turn 2, and already, we are knocking on death's door. But, we manage to stabilize and fight back. Our strategy is simple. Mariana and Hausen engage Razobin. Meanwhile, the rest of our team targets the backline. Ragodazo is a tough opponent. While raging, he is resistant to physical damage, which is pretty much most of our damage, and he hits hard. But, through proper support and my new psionic powers, I managed to keep Ragman busy enough for the rest of my Pokemon to defeat the other enemies. We surround Raggy Bob, and we defeat him. We've done it. We've defeated all 3 Goblin leaders. Back at camp, we party.
I need to die! It's so heavy.
Then, I head back to the swamp. There I meet Auntie Etho and Marina. I walk into the fireplace, and Auntie gets so mad at me, she turns into a hag. We get our rematch against the sheep that defeated us before. The hag kills our dog and runs away. And we proceed to have a 15-minute fight against the sheep. It wasn't too interesting, so I won't show much of it. Basically, I just had to target the sages first, to stop them from buffing the others. We win, then we go into the basement. In the next battle, we fight people being mind controlled by the hag. Every turn, they make a saving throw against the mind control, and if they succeed, they skip their turn. This is my 3rd attempt at this fight, and I pretty much win through sheer luck. The enemies lose so many turns that I'm embarrassed I did this badly against them. I rest, and in the morning, I find Scratch with something in his mouth. Is that what I think it is? A Pokeball! Finally, Scratch can join our team. With a new team member, I'm ready to face Auntie Eto. I traverse the Dark Souls-inspired Poison Swamp. Scratch has the right idea, but poor execution. We find Marina imprisoned. Our battle with Eto begins. She starts out the battle using double team, but we swiftly dispatch her illusions and find her true body. Next, she uses Substitute. The hag is full of tricks. If I'm not careful, I could harm Marina, but I noticed that one Marina has more armor than the other, and I managed to find Eto again. We surround her and give her a beatdown, but she takes out Scratch in return. You did well, my boy. The others fight to avenge their fallen friend. Etho uses Double Team again to escape our clutches. And again, we rip through her illusions and find her true body. She takes out Crowley and then Mariana, but we strike at her with everything we have. She begs for mercy, but I cannot forgive.
Wait just a tick.
This is where Scratch. We save Marina, but she isn't very grateful. Apparently, the hag promised to bring her husband, Connor, back to life. On our way out, we discover a strange wand. We find Marina outside and decide to try out the weird wand. What we discover blows my mind. Connor is a Pokemon. I decide to adopt Connor into my team. He deserves a trainer that will bring out his potential. Marina does not take this news well.
You bastard! Give him back! I thought you were going to help!
You shouldn't be married to Pokemon anyway, lady. Aw, what an adventure. Just look at all the Pokemon I've already caught. So far, I'm having a great time with this challenge. It's a fun twist on the game, and the fact that I can play this way at all just shows how great Baldur's Gate 3 is. I do have some frustrations. A lot of times, my summons get into each other's way, and just moving my party around feels like a game of leapfrog. Also, since damage output is so low, the battles just take forever. Honestly, I'm surprised I did this well. But, I am still in the early parts of the game. Who knows how valuable pecking my enemies in the eyes for 1 damage will be later in the game. Next time, I'll take my Pokemon into Underdark. Then, on to Act 2.